This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and it took a while to get to this video. Apologies, but taking a look back at Detroit Become Human. Having completed the game weeks ago, I should have did this then. But I just wanted to go back and kind of give you guys my thoughts and impressions overall on this game. The game is great. I think that it actually is the best game that David Cage has done so far. And I'm sure a lot of people probably hear that and are like, yeah, you're crazy, because David Cage's games get a lot of blowback. People don't really care for his games. As I said in the previous video, I think part of it is the problem with David Cage's games are David Cage himself. The impression, the way he goes about selling himself in his games does give people an air of pretension that kind of sullies his work, and therefore, while yes, a lot of it does seem come off hokey and poorly acted, not necessarily poorly acted, but poorly written, and poorly designed, there are merits to his games, and there is entertainment to be had from his games. There are things about his games that can be enjoyable if you can remove yourself from the David Cage hate. And I think this game, most of its negativity suffers from the David Cage hate. But, you know, straight up, it's a good game. It's a cool game. It's a fun experience. I think that he's kind of gotten a better grasp of the nuances that he wanted to display in his games, where he's trying to like tap into some types of emotion, get some emotional feedback from the player, make you kind of think through things, and bringing agency and weight to what's going on in the world. He definitely, I think, did a good job here. You find yourself caring a lot more about these characters than you probably thought you would be at the end of the day. And when you get to the end of the road and you finish their stories, if you have bad results, like spoiler alert, I had some bad results. I'm not going to say what those results were, but I had some bad results, and they really sucked. They did not feel good to have to deal with those consequences, but that's what this is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think, and it's supposed to attach you. That's the purpose of it. It's not the most, complicated gameplay in the world, and it's not going to, win any awards off of that, but it posed an interesting enough question to develop its story around, and it had a lot of moments that made you really, really think about what you did and what you would do differently. So to say it's a bad game would be wrong, because it does what it's supposed to do. And that's the biggest thing that I think people need to realize, is that this game does exactly what it's supposed to do as far as conveying the message that it wants to convey. So good job. I mean, yeah, a lot of it is cliched. A lot of it mirrors certain things that are going on now or that have gone on in the past, about equality and what makes this person that better than this person, that what is humanity, yada yada yada, all the things that we've touched on like frequently in society. But it still does what it's supposed to do, which is it captures that and it utilizes it well to tell its story. I mean, hey, again, I'm not trying to say like the writing's 100% on point, or even all the characters are that fascinating, but there's enough in there to where it's like you get yourself going into it. Though it's clever to have the survey thing too, where they kind of give you an intermission in between the game, and to kind of ask you how you would feel about certain situations, having played to a certain point of the game and have had certain experiences. they want to know what your thoughts are on certain things, which I thought was clever. I like the interaction between you and the menu screen. The menu screen is very in depth, in the sense that you feel attached to the menu screen because they gave it a personality that engages with you. Like, and it's funny because everybody I know who's played it has had different experiences with that menu screen. I've had some really weird, intimate moments with Chloe that other people haven't, um, and that brings flavor to the game. And the fact that you can go back and you can look at your tree and see what you did, that and what you could have done. They don't necessarily tell you how the outcome's going to be, but they let you see, like, yo, you had all these options. There's a lot to this game, and I think that's what makes this game his best, is that he hasn't locked you in on your choices. Although I do recommend that if you play it like the game asks you, if you go to that menu, it'll say you probably want to play through this first and then come back later and try to change things and see how they come. Enjoy your experience first, your true experience first, and then come back and play around with it, which I'm going to do. But that works because it lets you, like, if you are that person who has strong regrets, you can go back and try to salvage certain things in your mind, because you never know if that thing's going to actually ultimately lead to what you want anyway, because the roads cross paths and different things. It's like you never necessarily know. It feels like you truly don't know what triggers what. Like, there's some things where I figure, like, maybe if I did this one small thing right, this wouldn't happen. Where others, where it's like this one major thing might not have had any weight at all. It's a very interesting, game design that he did with this. And it's not anything unique or brand new, but I feel like with the subject matter that he did and the like whole personalization of it, as far as like trying to get you emotionally attached, it makes it a lot more enjoyable and a lot more weight to it, you know. It's a very compelling game, and I'm glad it came out after God of War, because I feel like it's a good transition from, where God of War had its depth and meaning, and got the mind going. This got the mind going in another way, and I felt like these were two back-to-back games that are Sony's exclusives that did a good job. It's like you got the high intensity of God of War. Now you kind of, have a more methodical, thoughtful, even though there's some intense moments in this game, but it's a more methodical experience to come with that I think played well. I think the timing for this game was perfect, to be quite honest, because it was right before the hype of E3, but right after the storm of God of War, just the long enough to give it its time, in the spotlight, and it worked. But yeah, definitely do enjoy Detroit Become Human. Hope you guys give it a whirl if you can. Let the David Cage hate kind of not dictate whether or not you want to experience this. I think this is a game that everybody should experience, and a game that will spark a lot of conversation. Again, sure, the David Cage pretension and some of the heavy-handed methods of trying to make his point are all there. There's some bad writing, things like that, questionable things, but as an overall experience, game's very, very solid and is worth giving a look. So definitely check it out. But anyway, as always, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.